This video is a guide to increasing your layback or external rotation in the throw. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Overhead Athletics, Max Wardell here. We know that layback is highly correlated with ball velocity, particularly because the greater distance over which you can let your arm lay back or externally rotate in the throw, the greater distance over which you can accelerate your arm and the baseball as you come forward. So limited layback, basically you can't get the arm back. It doesn't lay back at all. This is a big risk factor for injury, but it's also a risk factor for overloading tissue over time, poor recovery, and other things that we're seeing in our throwers that are leading to maybe a little bit of pushing too hard to try to get to that next level, trying to muscle up and really push the baseball. That's not how we throw the baseball fast, and that's not how we're going to produce velocity long term. We need to make sure that we have good supple joints. We can move through our full range of motion. One important note here is that a lot of athletes, just based on their anatomical structure and variation, aren't going to have as great a layback as other athletes. Some people just have more external rotation innately than others, and that's what you were born with. That's your genetics. Other times we're limited sometimes by injury. You've had a labral tear that's been repaired surgically, it's been tightened up by the surgeon, and now you're just not going to get as much layback as maybe you used to have. Those are things we're dealing with, but there are ways that we can safely increase our amount of layback without overloading the shoulder, which are ultimately going to allow you to throw faster and get the ball out of your hand with more efficient delivery that's going to put you at less risk for injury. One of the first things that you may need to consider if you have limited layback in the throw is your elbow position. Now, we've made videos in the past regarding arm drag, low elbows, but if your elbow is low, it's gonna naturally decrease your external rotation. What do we mean by low? Well, it depends a little bit person to person, but below 90 degrees of abduction, below that shoulder plane, you're gonna be limited, especially if you're dragging that arm behind. That's just an arthrological limit, meaning a joint limit. You're going to be hitting that bone on the back of the shoulder socket itself. So getting that elbow up is going to help you lay back, and anyone can try that at home. Take your elbow back here, doesn't go, bring it up, and now it's a lot more bouncy and you can get a lot farther back. Getting your elbow to the proper position in the throw is modus operandi number one if you're limited in layback, because the better your arm position is in the throw, the more layback you're going to have by training it over and over again, by dynamically stretching it as you throw the baseball. If you've already worked on improving your throwing mechanics, your elbow's at a good height, in particular your elbow's not dragging behind, then you got to work on the thoracic spine. What I find is that most people that are limited in layback, even when they think they have good mechanics or think that they know what good mechanics are, typically they're not that good. And when I analyze it, it's like slicing and dicing. There's like a bunch of stuff going wrong. So you got to get your mechanics evaluated by somebody who truly understands what you're talking about, and that's why we began offering these video analyses online. So if you're interested in that, definitely shoot us an email over at athletics@gmail.com. But if you've already worked on improving that, you need to start improving your thoracic extension. Now what I'm doing here with this roller is I'm keeping my ribs organized and tucked down. So I'm not extending all the way through my lumbar spine. I'm keeping my ribs tucked down, hands interlocked behind the head, and I'm extending. Now I'm gonna find a few spots. I'm gonna oscillate in and out. Really find that position of restriction and kind of oscillate in and out. Maybe get some arm extension. Try to maximize my thoracic extension. And that thoracic spine extension, as you throw, allows your arm to drop back into more external rotation. Most people are really stiff through their thoracic spine. Ball, chest, this is a tennis ball. I'm gonna roll through some of these pecs, some of the pec minor here, just kind of massaging through these tissues. I got that internal rotation position here. And then I'm gonna come into a little external rotation lift off. Try to stay organized. Give yourself some good pressure into the ball as you actively externally rotate. Then try to push into the wall, contract your pec, turn that pec off, and come through. And then you're gonna work, and I'm just showing left and right side, then you're gonna work through some of the muscles on the back here next to the shoulder blade, all through this region. And just kind of do the same thing, some active external rotation, some active internal rotation, and just kind of let your head fall to the other side. Just kind of mobilizing, massaging some of these tissues that maybe we don't necessarily want to stretch because we don't want to hang out on the front of that joint, but we might want to just decrease some tone, improve some of the pliability of these structures. So you've mobilized your thoracic spine. Now you're starting to work through some of the soft tissue. We come back to another thoracic spine stretch. Set a timer. Spend 3 to 4 minutes on your soft tissue mobilization. Spend a good 2 minutes on your thoracic extension. And then we start to work through some other things here, and then we can think about some applications in the throw itself. The tried and true open book long lever position is probably one of our favorite and most effective at improving thoracic extension, range of motion, thoracic rotation, and then ultimately layback because of how the pec is stretched in this kind of 45-degree rotational position, because of how the upper back is stretched out here. We're not letting extension through the lumbar spine, it's all rotation through the thoracic. And then how we change how the shoulder blade articulates with the rib cage. And you can see how tight my throwing side is here. I'm trying to think like wringing out a towel. Reach, 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 rotate, rotate, rotate. Hold this, set a timer, 1 minute each side. Hold it the entire time, reaching, reaching, reaching. Here's where you add in some throwing holds to actually strengthen the internal rotators, control that layback a little bit better by strengthening the muscles that actually control the layback, like the front of the rotator cuff, the subscapularis, and give them a little bit more strength through that range. You can allow them to better control that as you come through and actually relax into that position a little bit better. We have other options to increase layback, but a lot of them are more risky than this. And we find that when athletes properly address their thoracic extension, thoracic rotation, soft tissue pliability, throwing mechanics, and then strengthen through throwing holds where they're holding heavier balls or heavier implements, but they're not letting go of them, we find that they typically don't need any of these more extreme variations to increase external rotation or layback, like weighted ball, high velocity throws with heavy balls that we know cause labral deformation, slap tears, ulnar collateral ligament tears, and a bunch of other things that can be totally avoided by getting into a proper training program. If you're looking for something to improve your throwing mechanics and get you to get your arm into the right position at the right time so you sequence your layback properly and throw the ball properly, check out our phase-specific throwing program for pitchers or a velocity enhancement mechanical training efficiency program for position players on our website, overheadathletics.com. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of these videos in the future, and we'll see you guys in the next one.